And so I want to thank everybody that's here, and especially those of the from the Cocopah Nation, Chairwoman Cordova, and Councilmember Irwin Twist, Councilmember Neil White, and all the others who have taken time to be here. And just so everyone knows, the people coming up are all people that were members of the fire department in the past. They've gone on to other careers, but they all worked with Darrell, and that's why they're here with us today. And so with that introduction of all the guests, I'm going to go ahead and explain why we're here today. And it's kind of important. This, of course, has to do with the unveiling of a memorial stone on behalf of Darrell Thomas. And someone might ask, well, why after 20 years did we put up a stone? Well, it occurred to us that if we don't put up a stone, maybe in the future, people like Darrell Thomas will be forgotten, and we don't want him to be forgotten. And so first and foremost, it's a memorial to Darrell. But secondly, we want our present generation to recognize his sacrifice, and we want the future generations, but we're not here anymore, to never forget who he was. And so it's very important for us today to unveil it, and every time someone walks up to the memorial wall, they'll see his name there and know that he made the ultimate sacrifice. He, to date, is the only line of duty death for the Somerton Cocopah Fire Department. Darrell was born in 1952 on December 24th, and he died on December 15, 2001. He was going to be 50 years old. And so he had a short life, but he made a lot out of it. Those of us that knew him to be a man that was strong of character and always extremely helpful. And in fact, one of the things that I wanted to mention today about this memorial plaque is it reminds us of how Somerton and the Cocopah Nation have always gone along so well. Before the Cocopah Nation had any firefighting abilities, Somerton would respond in a little bit of equipment that they had, which is very poor equipment. I'm talking about 1940s engines, and would go out there to any small brush fires or whatever. And then in the late 70s, the Cocopahs purchased a small squad, an attack truck. And as soon as they bought that thing, I was a teenager. I always remember asking my dad, hey, why are they over there at that wreck? Or hey, why are they there at that fire? Because our neighbors were Cocopah, and then I would ask them, well, why are they there? So we're being helpful. We want to help. You guys helped us, now we're going to help you. And so it was always impressive to me, the fact that they were so willing to help us in that way, and assist us. Back then, Councilmember Irwin Twist was actually the fire chief of the Cocopah Fire Department. His assistant was Darrell Thomas, Colin Everett Rodriguez. These names may not mean a lot to some of you, but to those of us that are born and raised here, they mean a lot. And so they came and they always helped us, regardless. There were no written agreements between us back then. And so what they were doing was really something that I would say was being born of the heart. And that's important. And I'm going to go ahead and take care of these things real quick, and I'll be right back with you. Teach me to try to be fancy. There we go. And so in the 70s that happened, and if you notice the pictures, there's more of these pictures. There's very few pictures of Darrell, but almost without exception, every picture you'll see of Darrell, he's in action. He's on a call at a fire, he's on a medical call, and a rollover. There's a couple where he's just fellowshipping, hanging with the guys, but the vast majority of the pictures are always Darrell in action. And that goes to why this plaque is so important to me personally and to the guys in the department, because we always remember him being there. Be at a wreck at 2 in the morning, he was there. Go on the res for a medical call, no matter what time, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, he was there. There was a problem on the res because someone was mad because we showed up and didn't treat their mom right. Darrell wasn't squared away. And so it was so important to us to see that happen. And so with that just short introduction of why we're here, I would like to invite Chairwoman Cordova, if you have any words you'd like to share with us. And when Chairwoman Cordova is done speaking, if any of you would like to speak from the tribe, she can pass the mic to you.
Thank you. It is a real honor to see everyone here, to the people that worked with him. It's a testament to who he was and how he was. I met Darrell, I think I was about 10 or 11 years old when he lived up in Towson. I didn't know who he was. And we were up visiting my family, and he was the only one that ventured out. There was a large family, there were other children in the house, but nobody came out except him. He was the only one that was brave enough to come out and see who I was and what was I doing there. And we just started talking, and then I came home and I didn't really know too much more about him, but then later on, when he came back down and I reunited with him, and everything that Chief DeAnda said is so true. He would be at all of the funerals with his truck, making sure that everyone was safe out there. We'd have a lot of conversations. He was always ready and available to help whenever needed. You didn't have to ask him. He just knew if something was happening, he was going to be there. And that's what I remember most about him is, and when you look at these pictures, he's serious, but there's always a bit of a smile. Even though he was doing some very serious things, he always had a smile. I see some of his family coming. That's really nice. And that's the other thing, is that he was very proud of his family. He was a family man. He loved his children. He would do anything for them, just as he did for the tribe and for the community. As Chief DeAnda said, we have this relationship that's gone back to when there were no written agreements. It was just communities that got along together. But we've grown, and with that growth, we recognize that we must have all these written documents to make us tied together. But as a Cocopah people, that's not who we were. And those of us that are born and raised here, we also know that. We just went up and knocked on somebody's door if we needed something. We never worried about locks. We never worried about trying to keep out evil. We were just a community that existed. And I travel a lot around the state, and some of the communities, it's amazing to hear the problems that they have. And they're always admirers of what we have with the seminary. How do you guys get along so well? It's just who we are. That's how we were raised, and that's where we're going to keep on going. But today we're here to honor Ricky, and he probably have a good chuckle because he didn't like all of this fancy. He just liked to do his job. He was a guy that just wanted to get things done. Didn't really care about all the hoopla. He would just go about his business every day. And so it's really great to recognize him for his caring, for his dedication, and for all the hard work that he's done. And we as a Cocopah tribe certainly appreciate him. And I'm glad to see his family here, his kids here this morning with us. So thank you all for being here and sharing this day and this honor that we're able to partake in. Thank you very much. I don't know if anyone from council want to say anything?
I want to thank Chairman Cordova for her kind words, and I want to recognize Adam and Darrell's children. Going on with the ceremony, I wanted to share a few things with so you understand why he's important to us. You know, I speak to how it is that when I was a captain back in the day, and then it was promoted to chief, made chief. I know I needed somebody with authority to back me up, because I was 21 years old and I was just as they say, a punk kid. And so it was hard for the older people that were the volunteers to really take me serious. And so I knew that everybody respected Darrell. They feared him and respected him. It was awesome. And so I promoted him to captain. And it was very interesting to me the way he handled people, because when he was dealing with training issues with the guys, he was never rough on them. He was fair and square, and he was tough, but he was never mean-spirited. In fact, I don't ever remember Darrell using a curse word when he was training the guys, which is impressive in the fire service. And so that was always something that stood out to me. And he helped me a lot, grow as a person. I'll share a quick story with you. When I was promoted to captain in 1982, the chief at the time bought me a red helmet. I was going to be the first guy in the department to ever have a red helmet, which means you're a captain. And I was full of myself. I was so proud I had made captain. I was, a punk 18-year-old kid, and I was captain. And Darrell could see it. He saw that was a bad thing, that I had that attitude. And so he pulled me aside. He says, you know why that helmet's red? I told him no. He said, because it signifies, it symbolizes in blood of all the, you make a stupid decision and kill somebody, it's on you. You can't say that fireman was stupid and made a bad decision. It's on you. And I could feel the weight of the world fall on me. As I realized, hey, this isn't acting cooler and now I'm a captain. This is, I got responsibilities. And that's why I mentioned right now that Darrell was real important in my life and in the lives of all these guys. Without realizing the things he said and things he did were an example for us. Sorry about that. I told myself I'm going to be a real man and not get all emotional. So much for that, huh? I would like to take the time, though, to invite any of the past members of the Somerton Cocopah Fire Department, any words you'd like to share, or any experience you'd like to share regarding Darrell. We'd appreciate it. Robbie, you're a speaker. Okay, Robbie Rodriguez.
Talk about the team.
So when I worked here, I usually got in trouble a lot, and Darrell would always point out, and he'd do that chuckle like, yeah, you know. So one day, we got called to Mexico for a fire, and I was acting captain that day, and so we took this engine to San Luis, Mexico, the fire truck, and it was a store on the bottom with apartments on top that were involved, and there were some Mexican firefighters that were trapped, and so we got there and pulled up, and we went in and got those guys out. But on the radio, I can hear Jose Weezer tell me, "You need to get that engine back to Somerton now." And I'm like, "Okay." So I look at Hector Yaxiola and I said, "We better take off." And so we finished our assignment there, went back to the station, and I could feel the weight of, oh man, I'm in trouble. You know, the city manager's going to get me, the fire chiefs, you know, are going to be upset. So we parked the truck, and I walk in, and Darrell's by himself in the living room, in the day room, and he's looking at me, just shaking his head, going, and you guys know what this is, like this, just going, Rob. And he told me, don't worry. And because he knew I was freaking out in my head that I was going to get fired, you know. I was just very nervous, but he made me feel worse, but he also made me feel a lot better by telling me not to worry about it. And through all that whole process, I didn't get in trouble because we did have a mutual aid agreement with San Luis, Mexico. So I was doing the right thing. But Darrell always made me feel like when I made a mistake, it was okay, and mistakes were okay. I worked with Darrell a lot at this when he had services. Every now and then I go with him. Went off-roading a couple times in that truck with him, and he was just a nice guy, you know. And he impacted everybody here because of his humor and his being kind of a strict person every now and then. But he was mostly just fun to be around. And I mean, I was with him when he passed away, and that's just something I carry with me, that I was with Darrell. But I always remember that day where he told me not to worry about it. That's my little story with Darrell. I have many more, but you guys, we can't really talk about those. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate that. Anybody else like to share any words? Mr. Twist?
If I can make it away. Yeah, Darrell and I went way back as far as, I think it was in the early 80s, around 80 something. That's when he joined our group. And we had a lot of fire drills and stuff like that, and he would attend and help me out a lot. He was my assistant because he knew quite a bit about fires. And we did a lot of training as a tribe. You know, thankful that they sent us to a lot of training. So we did have a lot of training, and he would train. That's why I guess he trained a lot of some of his guys, but he knew a lot about training, about fires and stuff. And there was a couple instances, you know, that it was somewhat real sad, but I don't know about that. But one time he was going down the road, leaving the reservation, he seen a fire on the side. It was a herd fire. The herds lived right across the canal there, and they had a big palm tree fire. It was going electric and everything else. So he went up there. He stopped. He called me. I went up there, and we went out there and looked at the fire. There was a hot fire on the ground and everything. So he fixed everything up, and we put the fire out. But before then, we used to always go to the herds because we knew who they are. So we'd go up there and we would buy oranges for them for Christmas. We'd go out there and buy oranges. They had navel oranges, so we'd go get our navel oranges from him. And after that fire, Mr. Hurd said, "You guys have all the oranges you want." So we always went out there and got oranges for free over there because of him, because he stopped by and put the fire out. So that's a lot of those things. I wasn't prepared to talk about it. I was coming to listen to the call. Yeah, I know we had more stories than I do.
I'll share Irwin and Darrell and Cole and Soto's story with you. Me and Lee Young responded to a fire. It was at the old ADEP building, which is where the PD is now. It was a big, long, single-wide mobile home. And somebody got mad at somebody and poured gas around the outside of it and lit it up. And so Colin and Irwin got there first, and then Darrell got there later. They're putting out the fire. It went to the sheds and everything. So then me and Lee Young pull up in our old Boardman fire truck. We got the majority of the fire down, but there's still fires underneath the trailer, and it's all muddy now. And so Irwin says, "Well, someone's got to go under there and finish off that fire." And so I'm looking at everybody. Everybody's looking at me. And then Darrell says, "Oh, you're the young one. Get under there and put the fire out." And then they all agreed, which I thought was unfair. It was like everybody voted me out, and I had to get there and get covered in mud and put the fire out. Those are the things we went through back in the day. And there was no, yes sir or no sir. It was a bunch of guys really helping each other. Darrell, one thing he did do when I invited him to become captain is he brought a ton of young guys from the tribe over to the Somerton Fire Department at the time, the volunteer department. There's Vicky San Diego, Martine Miller, Bennett Miller, Harriet, of all people, was there. She was our only female firefighter at the time. Everett Rodriguez went to Phoenix eventually, but he was a member of the Somerton Cocopah. He was also a tribal member. Trying to think of everybody. Barry Rodriguez was a member of the department. Terry Coyote, he was a member of the fire department. He's only got bigger than me. He was way bigger than me. And so all these people, but I want to get to a point here regarding Darrell. Darrell brought them over, and he gave them something to do and something positive, and you could see the positivity and their willingness to help people. After that, he wasn't the only one going on calls. We'd go to wrecks and stuff, and all these young guys are showing up and helping out too, and that's the effect he had on people. So all in all, I guess I ran out of gas here, but I'm very glad to see all these faces, and I would like to invite Adam and your sister and Sherwin Cordova, if you'd like to step up. We'd like you to be the ones that unveil the plaque, and I will read the plaque once all of you unveil it. And it's very simple, just take the hooks off.
Okay.
There we go. It says, under the seal of the Somerton Cocopah Fire Department, dedicated to honor and revere the sacrifices of those that gave their all for the lives of those they served, in memory of Assistant Fire Chief Darrell Dean, Ricky Thomas, December 24th, 1951 to December 15th, 2001. Thank you so much for helping us with this. Thank all of you for attending, and if you'd like to come up and look at the few pictures we have here, we have some others back there. You're welcome to it. We could just share a few private thoughts, I guess, about times past. Okay, so thank you so much once again.